Hi guys! Today we are talking about your engine filters. What these filters have in common. Stay tuned. So guys, I want to talk to you about this fuel filter, this diesel fuel filter. I also want to talk to you about this part up here. The fuel filter itself has a section that filters the fuel and has another section that keeps the water down here. There is always water on your fuel and on your diesel because the condensation of the tanks in the fuel pumps, in the condensation in the fuel tank on your car also. There is always condensation on your fuel. So this cover here takes care of that. You have to do a purge every now and then to take out all of the liquid, the water and the diesel all mixed together. Not really mixed, but all together. And put the cover again. Turn on the ignition a couple times. The system, the tank pump will take out the air, do the purge, and you can start again your car. Mind you, this water separation is not very quick. You have a water separation, yes, but if you have a lot of water in your fuel, in your diesel, this water can be consumed by your engine, by your injection system, and cause damage by cavitation. This cavitation is a phenomenon that happens in all liquids. You also have cavitation in your power steering pump sometimes if you use the wrong fluid or if you have a bad power steering pump. You also have this support that holds this set together. Down here you may have a water presence sensor. It may not always work, but it's there to tell you if you have too much water on your diesel. But again, if the water is very mixed, it's very all over the place, the sensor will not pick it. The sensor will pick water that it's already separated. In the middle here you have a heater, a diesel heater. By this sensor and another information by your ECU, the ECU will choose to heat or not your fuel. The diesel fuel needs to be very fluid to make good power, good starts, and have minimal pollution. So you have here this sensor, this heater, you have the filtration, the water separation, and you have a sensor for the water. Like I said, it's very important for you to or purge the filter or switch it before time. I always like to switch my filters, my diesel filters at maximum 20,000 kilometers, because you cannot take out your filter and see inside and say, okay, this filter is not too bad, but you don't know if the water is already in the filter contaminating the filter plies. I switch out the filters at maximum 20,000 kilometers. This is really bad for your injection system, because if you have too many cavitation, you will damage your injectors. That's why that's maybe, not maybe, that's why you have problems with fuel injectors that have high return. That's why you have high pressure fuel pumps that have low pressure output. That's why you have problems on your fuel delivery pump, for example, on the older models. It's this filter that does every protection you need, from filtering to separating to heating the fuel. It's this fuel filter. I also want to talk to you about air filters. The air filter, its job is much more important than you might think. This air filter must be always as much clean as possible. As a consequence, if the filter is not clean enough, even the start of the engine, it's a problem, can be aggravated. How is that so? Your start of your diesel engine, for example, you have a lot of mass of air to pull. I mean, this air is stopped when the engine is stopped, and when you do start the engine, the air starts to move very rapidly, starts to be sucked by the engine. If you have a dirty filter, this air that is stopped when the engine is stopped will have a great difficulty to start its journey, to start being pulled by the engine, because it's a big prison, a big dirty filter that cannot let the air go by it, and the engine can start really bad or really slowly. Another problem with dirty fuel filters, it's contamination. When you have an old filter with a lot of contamination, this dust and sand and other things start to be sucked by the engine. Sorry, I'm a little. I have a cold. This dust, will contaminate your valves, your valve seats. You lose compression by the valves. It also passes the air meter, and this air meter will be damaged. Now you have to buy an air meter that is much more expensive than a air filter. More than that, this dust and sand and other things will reach your piston and piston liner. The liner will become scratched. The dust and sand will pass by the rings and starts to wear out the rings and the seats. So on the way up of the piston, you will lose compression, and on the way down, you will lose oil. The oil stays on the liner, and when the piston comes up again, it will be burned in the combustion or for your exhaust. So it's very important for you to check your air filter and do not shake it and do not blow it. If you blow your air filter, it's much worse, because you are damaging the plies, you are opening these microscopic holes, and the dust can go through it with much more ease. It's not very expensive, air filter. I recommend you to switch this air filter between 20 and 40,000 kilometers, not more than 40. Depends a lot on your engine, on your case, on your model, but don't ignore this. And if you have a 156, when you change out the air filter, always clean the bottom of your air filter housing. Oil filters. They look so simple, don't they? Well, they do a very big job. Obviously, filter your oil, but if you have a low quality oil filter, you can have big problems. I mean, imagine you buy a not branded oil filter, €2 that costs. The plies inside that filter the oil are very weak, and after 10,000 kilometers, this plies just tear itself apart and the oil just passes by the filter and there is no filtration in this way. It's very important to you to buy a quality oil filter, and in my opinion you should not take it all the way. If your car does your oil changes every 20,000 kilometers, you should change your oil filter at 10. Imagine this: you buy a new car, a new old car. You don't have any clue if the condition of the engine on the inside. You put the best oil you can find, and then all the junk and sludge that is inside the engine will be filtered by this filter. After 10,000 kilometers, this filter is plugged, and you continue 10 more thousand kilometers with this filter. The engine that was good before is now working with sludge and carbon inside of the oil. It's mixed with the oil. You done worse than better. In my cars, they don't do a lot of mileage and kilometers. I change the oil and filters every year because of the condensation of the oil and so forth. Another thing that I see, and I get freaked by that, some people do not change the oil filter in every oil change. They do 2 oil changes and 1 oil filter. The big problem of doing so, you think you are sparing $10 on this. If you don't take out your oil filter when you are doing the oil change, you are not just saving your oil, you are not taking off all of the oil. Much of the oil is stuck on the filter and on the cavities that lead to the oil pump. Sometimes that can be more than half a liter of oil. And when you put in the new oil on the engine, you are contaminating all of your new oil with old. Not only so, the filter, it's already plugged up, and when you are passing new oil through it, you are releasing that dirt. The big problem of doing so, you think you are sparing $10 on this. If you don't take out your oil filter when you are doing the oil change, you are not just saving your oil, you are not taking off all of the oil. Much of the oil is stuck on the filter and on the cavities that lead to the oil pump. Sometimes that can be more than half a liter of oil. And when you put in the new oil on the engine, you are contaminating all of your new oil with old. Not only so, the filter, it's already plugged up, and when you are passing new oil through it, you are releasing that dirt. So, I said in the last video, I will tell you what is the age of this filter, and the age is 3 years. This is an original factory filter, and this filter has 3 years. I was the first one to change it. You might think, oh, my filter with 1 year is like that. And it's true. And like all filters, this filter has a limit. This serves this filter, this one, the fuel filter, the oil filter. After 1 year, I'm certain this filter was like this. But in the next 2 years of his life, it could no longer hold any more dirt and become more plugged up. I'm certain that this climate control, this air conditioning, for example, did not work properly. What I mean by this is, if you want to leave your filters for as much long as possible in the attempt to save some money, you are only wasting it. Even if you don't have here, for example, problems with dirt on your conducts and on your admission and sensors and valves and pistons and whatever, you are burning too much fuel. All the extra fuel you are burning, you can buy a filter and have more power. If you don't change your fuel filter, you have much less power, because the filter is not plugged up and the fuel cannot reach the pump with much ease and create pressure and power. You are damaging at long term your fuel pump, fuel delivery, and high pressure delivery pump and injectors. What are the costs of those? And if you don't want to spend $10 on the oil filter, you don't like your engine, you don't like your car. All of this is crucial for the maintenance of the car. It is preventive maintenance. Imagine you can do this on the weekend. You can buy these filters, open your hood, switch out these filters, switch out maybe when you want to see your air cabin filter, and try this. Change your oil filter in between oil changes. Change your fuel filter, or at least do a purge every year, for example. In your air filter, if it's dirty, don't even touch it anymore. Leave it aside, put a new one. Make sure the airbox is clean. There's all these particles that can escape from your airbox and get to your engine. You need only one grain of sand to damage your air meter sensor. So be careful. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any question or anything at all you want to say to me, please leave it in the comments below. Bye.